Hello and welcome back to Game 1 of the OPL. It's going to the third. 1-1, Chiefs Direwolves right now. We're both eating snakes, so we're a little bit distracted.
I've been told to put this on the desk. Sorry, everyone. You caught me at a bad time. Unfortunately.
It started on my side of the desk, and then it just got
travelled.
Flicked off at the start of the show. Now it's over there, chilling with the koala, buddy.
Disaster.
Timo still thinks he's in a brush, just hiding in plain sight. In the
Timo first game was in the way of our screen. We tried to cast the game, and Timo's just sitting on it. But anyway, moving into the actual game of League of Legends at hand.
Go for it.
1-1 between the Direwolves and the Chiefs here. Definitely strong games from both the victors on either side there. So.
And that's what I want to talk about. These games don't look like they're being played with subs, really. I mean, Fantix Winyu was always going to be fine. He's a very good player. Obviously, traditionally mid lane, but played things like Corki, Cogmore. We've already talked about it. But Praylist, for me, has been the real surprise. I mean, Shern has got arguably the most integral role of any player on any team because the Direwolves are linchpinned by their jungler. I think Praylist has done a very good job.
I'm just thinking about it. I think I 100% agree with that. With Shern. So Praylist up on your screen now. Definitely a big performer. I know him mostly in solo queue, and many other people will. In the terms of the jungle role, good jungler gets up there with the best of them, but he's possibly the best fill player on the server right now. You put him mid lane, he plays like Orianna or Syndra or something. He's going 12-0. I'm telling, right now, he can fill Season 2 Rosie probably can. I don't know. He's pretty damn good there. So great to see him having a good performance for the jungle there.
And it just raises a point of the server as a whole. I know that a lot of the perception out there is there's pro-tier players and then there is a big gap. However, we haven't ever seen Praylist run around in an OPL jersey before. He fills in that role, looks very, very promising. I mean, we had people last year like Decoy starting to come through and really show himself. Kedu was a promising AD carry. I mean, across the board, we're just seeing rookies time and time again. Cupcake flew out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, the big thing to note there is the shift in mentality. I think a lot of teams nowadays are picking up these new younger players coming out where a lot of the time you would just see the same faces, same names cycled through the OPL. It's a bit of an old boys club to some degree, I guess. And now these new players are getting these chances on these teams, coming up through OCS, through solo queue, and then seeing them in the Pro League and performing well. It's just a good sign.
Yeah, it's very refreshing as we jump back into Champion Select. And on that angle, it always looked like the first ban is a misban, but it's just on.
Yeah.
Zoe taken away, Braum taken away, Malzahar, Kalista, and the last ban from the Chiefs will be Sejuani.
Do we see third game in a row Cogmore? No, we actually see an Azir lock in. Interesting change, but Kalista has hit the deck by the Chiefs here, so respecting that pick from Calvin King, the AD carry for the Direwolves there coming up, but yeah, Azir first lock-in.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Azir is part of the, I guess, 4 champions you standardly see in mid lane. You see a lot of Azir, Ryze, Zoe, Malzahar at the moment is kind of our tier list.
And Malzahar being the biggest counter to Azir out there, I think locking him down just does such a great job there. Azir very mobile. If you just see him, can't do a whole lot of anything, can't get the soldiers to auto-attack. So you see that one hit the deck from Chiefs there, and Direwolves pick up first pick Azir. The answer, as you can see, is the Jarvan and the Shen.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts? Jarvan jungle, most likely, is the best
100%.
jungler at the moment. But Shen, talk to me. You been playing at support?
Yep, I have been. I actually liked old Shen better, to be honest. You had a lot more access to your energy. Nowadays, if you miss your taunt or whatever, you don't do a whole lot of anything.
Old Shen is in, Chuck Dagger Shen.
Yeah, chuck your dagger. He gave you your AD carry, a bit of healing every now and again. You hit it. What you do, you throw it at the cannon. Then, I don't know, Quinn, Raze could sit there just whacking away at it and he'd get some health back. But nowadays, Shen coming out in this tank support meta. Bit of a new pick for the end of Season 7, Season 8. With the rune changes, Aftershock, functionally very similar to Alistar in lane, except has access to the all-in potential at level 1.
Yep.
If you land that taunt, he is so tanky with the Aftershock, which I do expect him to take here. If you land that taunt, you do so much damage, your AD carry follows up, and you can get a kill.
A greedy comp arguably being locked in by the Direwolves right now. Azir, late game scaling. Ezreal, good lane when paired with Braum, but is a late game scaling AD carry. Gangplank, very easy to gank, and a late game scaling top laner. On the side of the Chiefs, they go with Camille, a champion that we have not seen yet available.
Yeah.
Is that greed? Is that
greed
smart?
from the Direwolves or the Camille coming out? I think potentially, obviously, Direwolves very rehearsed in this. Chippy's great carry player. And the Camille coming out is a good answer. She has the capacity at any stage she wishes. Swiper's just going to E onto a wall, E onto the Gangplank, and you can close the gap. Obviously, with the Q poke coming out of the Gangplank there as well, Camille does a good job at sustaining it with her W. Just hits the sweep, can push in the wave. So very good at isolating targets, and that's exactly what they're going to need with this composition, with the Ezreal, with the Azir.
Yeah, exactly right. Taric, Alistar being taken away, so a support champion pool pinch coming out. Of course, that will be a Shen support, so they can afford to do it. Ryze being taken away. Expect another mid laner potentially to be banned towards Ryoma. Maybe that Cassiopeia to really put him on an uncomfortable champion now.
The question I have is, does Ryoma play Veigar? We have seen that in the LCK. Pawn picked it up, and then Crown in the reverse matchup picked it into him with the Azir. So that's been seen as kind of a niche counter every now and again. They are hovering the Talia.
Yeah, of course, Talia is going to potentially be a locker.
Not Talia?
Yeah, it's
I've
called
said Talia my whole life.
Yeah,
I'm going to stick with Talia.
Your whole life. I mean, she's been released for about 9 months or something at the moment.
For Talia's whole life, I've called her Talia.
All right, well, you've just said her name incorrectly, Bryce.
Oh, my bad.
Interesting. However, Ryoma is a very good Talia player. Famously had the skin battle against Swiffer, which he won, I believe, so still gets to play Freljord Talia. Unfortunately, Swiffer still has to play Pebbles Talia. And it's going to be another game of Shyvana for Praless. This time, however, not as much CC built in.
Yeah,
and
absolutely no hard CC. They do lock through the Tarm there, so ganking is going to be much more difficult for them here. Very greedy comp coming out of the Direwolves. Azir, decent lane, but scales really well. Gangplank, not a decent lane, scales really well. Ezreal, pretty safe, but scales very well here as Chiefs are looking to match a little bit here with the Tristana coming out. Going to do a lot of damage on the back end of team fights the later we go. But
I mean, and arguably, the 1-3-1 is matched because Camille plus Shen at any stage of the game.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even really 1-3-1. It's 1-4 because Azir's not going to 1-3-1.
Yeah,
so
absolutely not.
The split push is matched by Camille plus Gangplank. Talia is a better side laner. Access to farm is going to be there for the Chiefs. And this draft out of the Direwolves, this is one of those drafts where people are going to be like, what are you talking about? Gangplank's busted at the moment. What are you talking about? Azir's busted at the moment. Ezreal's busted. But when you put them all together, they kind of need some glue. And Shyvana and Tahm Kench is not the best glue combo I've seen.
Yeah, something, I like that, the glue combo. Something can only be busted given a set of specific circumstances that it can fulfill here. And obviously pushing them all together does make it a lot harder. I think the Shen is going to be the linchpin for the Chiefs here. Destiny on that champion in the bottom lane. Being able to unlock him to move around the map, like you mentioned already, the Camille. You hit them with the ultimatum, they lock someone down with the Shen ulti coming through. You can even just prepare that. You see a lot of teams overseas with the Shen coming through before you've even finished casting the E. So he comes in early.
Because Camille closes like 6 screens.
Such a big gap,
Like, if she's traveling towards you, that E goes forever. Then she can flash it and stun you. And then if you flash the stun, she just ults you and you go nowhere.
I mean, she still has the slow on a W as well if she's not quite in ulti range. So
goes Trinity Force to run quicker. Silly champion.
Yeah, busted.
Goes Comet as well. Interesting.
No real only top laners that does run Comet right now.
Yep. No real option for her apart from Comet. Made her harass very good.
Yeah, you did see initially in the preseason a lot of the top laners. I mean, still you see the likes of Jax or anyone else like that. They just run Klepto because obviously they have expensive build pass. They build the Triforce, build the Bork, and want to scale into the late game split pushing sort of game. But the Klepto does give them extra gold there, but they take it just because there's nothing better for them to take.
I want to talk about Klepto right now because I want to know whether anyone face checks Gangplank or anyone face checks the Ezreal. Because one thing that you cannot underestimate is Klepto's ability to give you red potions early in the game. Or, heaven forbid, a skill-up potion.
Imagine facing an Ezreal level 1 in lane and he eases on your head and then Qs you in the face. That's yikes.
And then has 2 points in Q at level 2. That is just not fun. Gangplank, the same thing. I walked into a lane against Gangplank the other day. He had 2 points in his Q at level 2, and I was playing a tank, and all of a sudden I just could not stay in the lane anymore.
That's not a good time. That's a very bad time.
But no funky level 1s coming out, so no Klepto procs.
No late invade to steal away the red buff from the side of Chiefs here. That seemed like a one-game wonder there.
Summon Airy coming out of Ryoma as well, so...
Talia has a lot of sustained damage, and she doesn't, in her trading patterns, unless you're just going to land the bop, land the seismic shove there, you're not guaranteed to land the Comet.
Yep.
So potentially just going for the Summon Airy, more consistent damage.
Also very good at chasing forward, which of course Summon Airy prefers.
Yep, you pick it up.
Shorter your gap, the more you pick up,
Absolutely, as junglers are sort of mirroring each other right now. Shyvana obviously the faster clearer. on her way to the other side of the jungle. And Babip, is he going to go in the top side? He's looking.
Well, this is a little bit cheesy because they do have the guaranteed shove with Talia. No one really out-shoves her. And he just saw the E go through the wall, Bryce. This could be dangerous. Gets a ward over, gets a knock-up. Will chunk out Praelis, who smites for damage. But Babip just going to be able to chase him out there. He will grab the blue buff for himself. Praelis turns back around. Don't really know whether you want that, mate. And Babip forces him out.
Absolutely great pathing there out of Babip. Knew what Praelis was going to do. And as soon as he walks up that ramp in the river, he sees the blast plant isn't there. And he's like, oh, what's going on here? He doesn't blow his ward over the wall there to see the blue buff and alert Praelis to his position. Plays it safe until he's in range to EQ. Doesn't get a kill, but that's a big lead for Babip. Already a camp ahead or two. Gets the buff as well. Gets the Gromp. Big lead.
Certainly is. And you can see Swiper just having his way with Chippies in the top lane at the moment, pushes him in very hard. And you can see Praelis and Babip are still clashing here.
He's looking for the third camp. The third camp tape, if he doesn't... he does get it.
Praelis got it.
Okay, no, you're right. He has the +2. He went from 4 CS up to 6, so does secure his big wolf, but definitely feeling the hurt here as Babip's just doing whatever he wants in his topside jungle.
Yeah, it certainly was. And one of the benefits of that is when you have a pushing top side of the map and you just have vision of the jungler. It means they can play with reckless abandon.
Can do absolutely whatever he wants. Big sweeps in the top lane there. And if, as well, currently Chippies was not low enough and they weren't looking for a dive there, but if Chippies is looking, if he takes a bad trade, if he's looking unhealthy in that top lane, then Babip obviously up there, they could look for a dive. Only level 3, but it's pretty easy to set up. They have double CC coming out of the Camille and the Jarvan, so...
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, oranges heal you more if you're lower. It's kind of counterintuitive, but you want to hold it as much as possible. And Ryoma is in some trouble. Triple, for the first time this series, I feel, has just taken control of the mid lane.
Absolutely. Great to see him turn it around here. No TP back to lane for Ryoma, so he's just going to walk it back here. But Babip's looking for something cheeky. If triple base is in a bad position here.
Yeah, especially if he just hits it in the middle of the lane.
Is he going to try clear another way?
Sometimes OS mid laners are want to do.
Oh,
if he dies here, this is a hard freeze.
But Bip is on a ward. As soon as he walked around that red ramp there, danger ping coming out from someone on the dire wall. So Triple well aware of his position. Not going to do a greedy base and can just clear this wave from the top side of the lane, so will be safe.
And he didn't use his Q or his E until he saw that Babip had left.
That's discipline.
Very important to note. It's much quicker, obviously, to clear waves if you use abilities. That's a given.
Spam your buttons.
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing I've said all day, isn't it? But very disciplined play. Meant that he was just throwing out the W.
And that's honestly the difference a lot of time in my eyes between great players and good players. Is great players have a lot of discipline, and when you're up to the competitive level, you're not talking about winning a single game. Who cares? But over the course of your season, the consistency of your play over that time frame, discipline will net you small advantages over the course of multiple games during the season. So great to see it there. First game of the day, first match of the day, I should say, game number 3. Out of triple taunt. Did that one land in the bottom lane?
Yeah, actually looked like it did. A little bit of damage coming out there. You can see Swiper once again chasing out Praelis. That is big damage. Flash still available for the big swips. And Talia's come up as well. That's going to be first blood picked up. And the Chiefs just collapse on Praelis and maybe punish some good vision.
Yeah, there was that ward in the tri-bush there. So Praelis goes for a greedy invade onto the golems.
And unfortunately for Triple, he was having a very good laning phase. Talia is going to come back with a kill, first blood kill, as well as some extra experience from that. And he's just been chunked out with no pots.
Potentially a bit of overzealous players. We have a bit of a trade in the bot lane.
Yeah, certainly do. See where the eat comes out. However, they turn it around now, and Cupcake is in some trouble. Has to be healed by King, so 2 summoner spells for 1. Chiefs get the better of it.
Taunt was going to be up very soon there, so King does burn the heal to give Cupcake a little bit of extra health. He has such a minuscule frame to be able to cast his grey health in that taunt animation, so safe play out of King there to keep his support alive. Sitting right now on 3 stacks of gold there. Taunt does land calm.
Great taunt. Dodge shield comes out as well. If Fantix goes into that one, we'll be able to dodge some damage, and King gets chunked out. Does have a couple of potions.
Cupcake neglected to eat in there. He didn't want to. Wanted to potentially save it for the turnaround fight. So.
That is a GP ulti going off somewhere on the map as well.
Just clearing out the wave. He wants to push in top lane.
And this is when you know GP's having a rough time. Oh, flash taunt actually, and Talia's down there as well. Cupcake is in trouble. Has that explosive satchel on his head. King looking to try and return. Fantix will not die. Holds the flash and plays chicken with the turret and comes out ahead.
And this is exactly the strength of Ryoma in the Gauntlet for Sin last season. He gets the push in the mid lane. He's so active in the side lanes on his Talia here, or Talia. as you like to say, gets down into the bottom lane.
It's not
nice
me who
flash.
likes to say it. It's Daniel Clyde, the guy that invented the champion.
Okay, maybe I'll fix it later, not today. But we do see the flash coming out of Destiny. And this is the first game today we have seen a Hex Flash. I love Hex Flash.
You are a Hex Flash
I am a Hex
connoisseur.
Flash fiend. That is such a cool mastery. Often, at times...
It gets you in more trouble than it gets you in good situations, I feel.
Not if you're a good player, and unfortunately that's not me right now. But oftentimes I find myself in this situation, a lot of people do, where Hex Flash opens up more opportunities. Obviously, you're just not going to blow your flash to get yourself over a wall to give you some vision or something like that.
Yep.
But if you do have your flash on cooldown, Destiny, with the taunt on Shen, he can walk into the Dragon Pit, Hex Flash over, and then get a deep ward in the jungle basically for free, because he can just taunt back to relative safely.
Yep.
So it opens up these opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise have, and then again, even in the lane phase as well, if you have a pink ward in the bush, you just Hex Flash taunt, and that's double the distance you already have. So
certainly is. Also, just sometimes gets a response out of people if you're not going to take much damage for it. Is potential there. Prayless runs in. They denied at least from the mid lane, and now Swiper all in engages onto Chippies. No ultimate available for Chippies, and in flies Babip. Ultimate will be available, but will not pull the trigger. This time, he's a full tank Jarvan, it looks like. And unfortunately, that means that Ryma will have the turnaround there. You can see that Triple flies in, doesn't go for the swoop. Just burns the flash. So good play out of the Direwolves.
Unfortunately there for the Chiefs, Babip was just too far away there. The Hextech ultimatum ran out from Swiper on the top side, so he didn't get a chance to Cataclysm onto Chippies. He gets out scot-free. The return comes in from Direwolves, but both teams at the end of that take a bit of damage, but just walk away.
Yeah, exactly right. And you can see that Chippies pretty patient in this matchup. Didn't feel the need to flash or anything like that. Walked it out. Gangplank, much like Rise, one of the quickest walker in the games. Barrels give him an increased movement speed.
Hit someone with a cheeky pistol shot on the way out as well.
Yeah.
Style points. So bot lane been pretty tame other than that gank for so long. I was talking about in Champs League the aftershock potential of all in from the Shen, but he did go for the Guardian. I assume because Tahm Kench obviously going to eat Ezreal, eat King out of any danger there. So
that is a lot of poke damage that they've just put down. And
also
Swiper is now in big trouble. One pistol shot will be able to do it.
Nice.
Ultimate comes out of the Shen, and this is what we were talking about. Very hard to win this push battle. Good use of the Zhonya's there, or the stopwatch, mind you, and that will be turned around.
Oh, Destiny! He's a machine!
That is.
Yes,
that is clean.
I love when supports hit the barrels. Top laners, I don't know, supports, they don't have attack speed, right? They're just running around. They get the next
Show me the other side of the map. Babip looks like he's about to fly in, although actually it's Triple that goes aggressive onto Ryoma one more time. Ryoma on the wrong side of the map will use some increased movement speed, but no summoner spells means that Prayless will dunk him. And bottom lane are just continuing to siege. I thought Babip might look to go aggressive there, but instead they just continue to poke Fantix out of the turret.
Pressure on all stages, all lanes of the map right here. That top lane play was so well played by all parties there. Swiper gets himself out of dodge there, flashes away, and Destiny waiting on the perfect timing to bait the flash out of Chippies. Didn't want to burn that Shen ulti early to give himself that advantage. So nice comes through. Prayless obviously was there to stave away the Shen, so didn't pick up the kill on the end of that, but nice stopwatch on the side of Chippies as well to get out of the storm.
Certainly was, and this is one of those times that you go all in as a top laner, you don't get the kill, but you should still take away the fact that you've burnt the global ultimate, you've burnt a flash, and they've done so much damage to Fantix down in that bottom lane that the turret and the CS differential is starting to stack up. So nice play from Direwolves across the map.
And that's the big thing with Shen. Obviously, he has so much global pressure when his ult is up. But if you don't get much from that play, they just got a flash effectively. They didn't get the they didn't get the kill onto Gangplank. They didn't get any priority in the lane because Swiper was so low. So blowing the Shen ulti for a non-proactive play that doesn't net you a big lead. All it gets is your turret to half HP, Fantix behind in CS, getting pushed in.
And the Direwolves, one more time, just so disciplined. You can see the Chiefs, they set up for the top lane dive. They know there's no flash. They know Hextech ultimatum back available. Ryoma leaves lane. Babip invades, but both the respective members from the Direwolves mirror that. And Chippies, he's safe to continue to farm.
Great safe play here, as we do have a bit of a reset on both teams. Triple, currently sitting pretty in the mid lane right now, working on his Zephyr, 0-0-1. Even in farm with Ryoma for the first time this series, looking for a play.
Yeah, flashes forward, and that's going to be Tahm Kench as well as Prayless coming in. Babip is here to try and defend the mid laner of the Chiefs, but there's not really much he can do, to be honest. He ends up getting out of dodge. King picks him up with a nice snipe, And what a play out of the Direwolves.
Big macro play out of the Direwolves here. Cupcake with the Abyssal Voyage brings in King. He gets the stylish snipe onto the back end of that kill, and that's going to net them the mid turret as well.
Yeah, maybe a response, however, in the top lane. You can see that Chippies has prepped a barrel, but with no stopwatch, how does he get out of this one? Dunk comes out of Babip. Swiper looking to potentially get back in. Chippies is living for just so long. Eventually, surely he will fall down here. Babip actually has to stopwatch. Lasts for so long there, however, will ultimately fall down.
Misplay out of Babip, misses the Q there onto the gangplank, so don't get the kill early enough. Has to stopwatch. Does survive barely in the 2v1. Played very well by Chippies there, and he was just drawing pressure on the side of the map there. They were getting the mid turret. Potentially did not want to die, but was just trying to clean out the wave.
You can see, meanwhile, bottom lane did manage to pick themselves up a turret. So Gold going to go across to Fantix. Has a much more expensive build. You can see Iceborne Gauntlet tier and only in Boots of Lucidity means that King right now would be stronger in a 1v1.
Absolutely, as we see another solo Drake coming out of Praelis here. Just an air Drake. We don't have another bunch of Infernals, luckily, for the side of Chiefs, as they are going to lose this one. But
I don't know. When you have a team that really is going to look to navigate global pressure around Gangplank Ultimates with Tahm Kench, air Drakes, especially for Shyvana, not going to be the worst Drake in the game.
I mean, it's all right, but it is out of combat move speed. So you do lose the bonus as soon as you net yourself into a fight. I guess it's most useful for, as you say, the Abyssal Voids on the Tahm Kench. You bring in someone to the side lane, and until you've actually hit someone, you're not classed as in combat. So they are able to close the gap a bit quicker.
You can see right now heavy trading coming out of the bottom lane. However, King just doesn't care. He's continually stepping up. Triple might have been caught out here. Emperor's Divide means that he will be able to get away. Slides back onto the other side. That means that they will... Oh, that was just the tip, and Ryoma, expertly done, picks up another kill.
Triple finds himself caught between a Jarvan, a wall, and an even harder wall there with the Ryoma coming through from the bottom side there.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
I wanted to make a rock and a hard place joke, but I really messed that one up. Sorry, everyone.
Caught between a pebble and a wall.
Pebble and a wall. We'll work on it for next time. But he goes down. Pressure in the mid lane for Chiefs here, as they did lose the solo dragon at the bot side of the map, but BIP looking for the Rift Herald.
And this is what pushing lanes give you. I mean, all of a sudden, even though Gangplank has that ultimate, so theoretically should be able to add more to global match plays. Because they had the push, Swiper was there first.
And it's also underrated how much making the game easy for yourself makes a difference at the competitive level.
What do you mean by that?
When you get to the competitive level, this is a grand final rematch. We've already talked about the consequences of this for later on to the season. So this match, despite being the first game of the year for both these teams, has a lot of weight. That's a lot of pressure coming in. And then that just means so much. So when you get into these situations, if you have a very easy go button, you're like, okay, we're going to get some pushing lanes. That's going to make topside very easy for us. Whilst you can navigate these no tank, very high skill cap team compositions, at the end of the day, if you mis-execute, then tough luck. But if you make it easy for yourself, then easy doesn't necessarily mean worse. So the no tank, hard to execute composition isn't strictly better. It might work differently, but making it easy is just a huge bonus.
And you can see a little bit of poke going down. Want to continue that train of thought. A lot of people, when they first start playing ranked and when they start getting into League of Legends, they pick champions. Oh, actually, let's talk about that later, because all of a sudden we're seeing the Shen, we're seeing the Camille come into the lane. This time around, Chippies will look to fall a little bit earlier. Actually, DOS marks up the E off the wall, still will be able to take him down, but Praelis actually doesn't get him. They're not going to be able to get him. He flashes forward. However, the kill does go back across. More Chiefs members arrive just in time. That will be a 2-for-1. But you have to say that was nearly the best outcome for the Direwolves. They lived for so long. They get themselves mid lane priority, get themselves a turret in the top lane. And the Chiefs, really, they just get themselves 2 kills.
Yeah, they do lose those 2 kills on the side of the Direwolves, but 2 pushing lanes means a big punish on the other side of the map. And what we saw there was the tiniest misplay out of Swiper there. He tried to get the extended flash range on his E. The Chippy's playing it really well. Holds his flash for the last second to try and dodge out of that skill shot coming from the Camille. Gets himself a bunch of extra time there as Praelis does come in, pick up the kill in return on the end of that, but does buy some time.
And a very well-played game. You have to say that the Chiefs have been playing the map reasonably well using this Talia to great effect. At the same time, Chippies is just buying precious seconds anytime they try and gank him, which means that the map play is becoming harder. Let's go back to my original point. They try and learn, you know, what creeps do, what opponents do, all while they're playing something like Yasuo.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
As opposed to just playing my good old mate Garen and just learning what the game does.
I don't think I've ever played a game of Garen.
What?
I don't think I've ever played the champion.
Kuden would be upset with you.
Yeah, he would. He's actually a Garen machine.
He is a big Garen player.
Support for Sin Gaming this season, for those of you back home that might not know. So
has
Kuden,
played an OPL Garen game as well.
Yeah, he has. When he... Was that Rippy coming in for
Yep,
Direwolves last season?
was.
And Kuden played himself... Not last season, sorry.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
No, even more. 3 seasons ago. It was end of 2016. We're old.
Yeah,
actually, I am actually old now.
It's all right, man. It's all right. As we do see the Direwolves pushing in the bot lane, taking a free turret.
A real friend there would be like, nah, you're not.
You're not old, Jay.
You're not old. Go on, as long as you think young thoughts. However, as you said, they are pushing that bottom lane turret. Fantix will be able to defend. He's getting a bit dicey down here, however.
And as you were saying before, I do want to extend the point, talking about those precious seconds that Chippies is buying.
Yep.
This game, heavy macro game. You have double globals coming out of the side of Chiefs. You have the Talia wall. Her ability to get to a side lane is such a big deal. And then you have the Shen ulti as well. So this game is very hectic for the Direwolves to orchestrate. They have to worry about so many different variables that can just appear in a side lane so quickly at the drop of a hat.
Yep.
And then from their side, you do have the Abyssal Voyage coming out of Tahm Kench on Cupcake as well. So they have the potential to get 1 member, maybe 2 if they bring someone with that, but only coming from one direction. So pretty hectic game from both parts.
I think the way it looks to shape up at the moment is that you want to attack the Shen if you're Direwolves, and if you're the Chiefs, you want to attack the Gangplank, because Gangplank has his ulti that he can lend as well as a teleport. Shen, on the other hand, is just such a nuisance with that big shield and dodge zone. It makes even a support Shen gank very relevant. They drop the Rift Herald top lane, looking to potentially get Swiper his turret. At the same time, Direwolves had taken bottom lane turret.
He was absolutely just timing out. The last few seconds of that one, Vivip dropped it in his own jungle. This 1v1 is not going to go well for him, but because the rest of the Chiefs do have the push on the top side and Ryoma is coming from the side, doesn't opt into the fight. Ryoma's looking pretty big right now. He's working on his Leandros there, got himself Morellos, even in CS, but he does have the 4 kills to the 0 on the other side of triple.
And even though that wasn't the best, optimal Rift Herald play, to get the turret that low and to be able to threaten dive means that they have been able to open up the bottom side of the map. Cause cross-map pressure.
Absolutely did just net themselves a dragon here with that pressure, because Direwolves walk up there, try and defend, don't want to lose the turret for free, so obviously can't make it down here as Vivip's going to solo it out. Nobody wants to help him finish
That
it
is the first dragon in, I think, 6 dragons the Chiefs have been able to pick up.
It's not a 5, though. That's unlucky.
It is not. It is a Mountain Drake. But with Tristana, arguably, still a good Drake.
Absolutely. Allows her turret pushing that's already pretty good to be even better. Nice.
Oh, Ryoma in some trouble here. Has to burn his flash, and all of a sudden Triple is right behind him. They burn the Shen ulti. They burn the Camille teleport, and the Chiefs still feel like they have to go, but there is no one there to defend, and the Direwolves will burn so many big cooldowns for absolutely nothing.
Swiper finds himself in a precarious position. Oh!
And all of a sudden, this is getting a little bit strange. Swiper is just tangoing with 2 members.
He is spotted out there. There were pings going down. They were checking the tri-bush as he was sitting in there, so he's on the wrong side of the map, walking to the wrong
Does get spotted as well by that plant, however.
Yeah, he's going through the turrets. He's
2 turrets. Oh, Tahm Kench ulti. Means that he will get flashed on, and he's going down. That's a Gangplank there, mate. In the end, missed the barrel, but will still be able to pick this up. And Chippies gets himself a kill, and that is the maximum punishment. Ryoma dies. Swiper dies 40 seconds later, and they lose the top lane turret as well.
Absolutely. Big deal coming out there. Ryoma stealing away a few of the Wraith from his jungle there, but looking to get a push in the mid lane here. Ryoma potentially caught out by these 2.
Yeah, exactly right. Has to burn the heal. Second summon a spell there. Snipe comes out from King. Will not hit, so he will live. But the damage is already done. Direwolves just look like they are commanding respect on every part of this map right now, Bryce, and the Chiefs do not have an answer.
Also, I do want to touch on, as they are just going to take down this turret, Destiny's looking to defend, but they will be fine. The Shen build, going for the locket, that actually hurts, because Shen's sitting right now, very low chance he's taken Transcendence, so he's got 20% CDR from Face of the Mountain and the Ruby Crystal. Ruby Sightstone, rather, so isn't going to get extra CDR, which is basically Shen's
only stat
and favorite stat for a whole item, and a whole item to a support is an absolutely huge deal. That's a lot of gold, and you don't get a lot of gold over the course of a game. So,
especially because, as you mentioned, the way supports get gold at the moment is being with their AD carry to hit minions. I don't think I've seen Fantix and Destiny stand next to each other for a good 5 minutes in this game now.
Destiny's been running around the map, ulting people left, right, and center. Tried to save Ryoma in that top lane, but of course did not land. The channel didn't go through.
Also want to talk about what this does to the mindset of the Chiefs.
Direwolves
again.
The Direwolves Baron. This is it, absolutely again. They have the ward and they just TP in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see how quickly they do it. They've got the Shyvana, they've got Ezreal, who gives everyone attack speed. They actually tell them that they're there by shooting a wave, and Babip has a chance to steal here. Will go in, and he gets in and gets out. That is an absolutely godlike play out of Babip.
If Triple was there a few seconds earlier, they pulled the trigger on the TP, and I said that's a 5-man Baron coming out of the Direwolves once again. But he greeds for the mid-wave, pushes it out, and Azir does so much damage to a Baron. That could have meant the extra few seconds. That means Babip can't get there. Triple wasn't there early enough to be able to wall him out, guaranteed. So Babip gets in on the back lines. We do see here, Triple on the left-hand side of the Baron pit, walking in, but Babip gets in there for a second, smites it away. Great steal by him, and that is a big deal for the Chiefs. They are down in gold, but this is going to give them the map pressure.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Swiper already took that bottom lane turret. I was going to mention the fact that Swiper has been very vocal about wanting to play both tanks and carries and be able to do a team thing. He had the favorable matchup and was losing out hard. Now, however, Baron buff will mean that this 1v1 starts becoming a lot easier for Camille to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if they do get the pick with the Shen ulti coming down on the side lane, which I do believe they will look for here, Camille is posturing around the gangplank. Here we go.
One more time. He goes in there. Hextech ultimatum. That will be one more time. And that's just everyone coming down bottom lane. Hello, Tom Kench. Hello, King. And the turnaround is here. Ultimate will be used, but that is 5 members of the Wolf Pack. They collapse on the Chiefs, and they tear them apart.
And they bring Babip down to a 3v1 instead. I think he should be on the other side of the map pushing. If Direwolves do that, they bring in the Tahm Kench, devouring someone inside that ulti there, bringing 2 extra members. They should be able to punish, despite losing the fight down bot lane on the other side of the map, but bringing Babip down, too many members extended down there. Fantix by himself not able to push in too many waves, and they just don't get anything for their troubles, and that's with Baron as well.
Exactly right. That should have been a play where Fantix and Babip are mid lane. They take that turret if they respond. All of a sudden, Ryoma's pressure on the top side of the map means so much more, but as you were saying, that is not the case. They will still get the mid lane turret, but it is delayed. And now, potentially, the Direwolves have that chance to scale, as you've been talking about.
And that Baron was such a big swig play for the Chiefs, and they could have just squandered it here. Baron Dragon is spawning in another minute here, coming up. Potentially looking for another 5v5 team fight here. The Shen ulti might not be available. That's a pretty long cooldown. I don't think it'll be up, and no TPs from either top laners. Actually, Swiper does have his available, so potentially looking for the push on the bot side of the map, but...
So talk to me about this. I've always been fascinated how it's one of the shot goals late game. You navigate the 1-3-1 versus a 1-4. Triple doesn't want to go to a side lane. Ryoma does. I mean, at what points are you sending them there? What is the response that needs to come out of the Direwolves? Is it send Tahm Kench there with an 80 carry so we can match? Like, how do you guys navigate this?
Well, Tahm Kench makes it a lot easier because you can always just bring more members to a gank in the side lane. But it's just a juggling match. You need to be able to catch the waves as the 1-4 team. 1-3-1's got to push into the lane, push up to the turret, and you need your jungler or your support to be floating with Triple, who doesn't want to stay there for too long down there. So we can push the wave off the turret and then out a little bit more as they buy time. And with that bought time, you need to go mid lane, need to go top lane, or wherever you have the numbers advantage. As there is a bit of an engage. Hold that thought.
Yeah, there certainly is. You can see the E comes out of Tahm Kench. Ryoma takes a lot of damage as well. At the same time, you saw Prayless burn the ultimate and go over the wall. And this will be a dragon fight if I've ever seen one. Nice mechanics there out of Fantix. It's both barrels. This will be another smite battle. Prayless wins this one as it wasn't available for Babip. And they actually hard engage onto Ryoma. Ryoma caught out of position, will fall down, and time again, the mid laner of the Chiefs is just getting picked off.
And that is a big pick for them there. A lot of the wave clear will come from Ryoma. They don't have the Baron on the side of Direwolves, so won't have that advantage here, but 4v5, Swiper is basing to look to come defend. King landing a lot of poke here.
Yeah, certainly is. You can see it at the same time. Oh, that's a big barrel out of Chippies. I was going to say, at the same time, Fantix is reasonably healthy, but he just has to go back to base now, and this could be the turret falling
down. And the
down.
biggest thing is that he burned his jump. As soon as he burns the rocket jump there, he cannot contest the wave, because if he gets flashed on, nothing he can do. The slows will land, so Direwolves take their opportunity there, pick up the inhib, and that's going to break open the game.
It certainly is, and you can say they use the Tahm Kench ulti for a little bit of a rotation into the top lane. Gangplank build. The buff to Steric's Gauge. is so huge for Gangplank. It should also be big for Camille, however. No Sterix Gauge coming out of Swiper is a little bit perplexing to me.
Yeah, once the extra sustain you get from the Ravenous Hydra there. Of course, down a whole item, so
do you know how it works,
looking to opt in. Tell me how it works.
Do you know how it works?
I do know how it works, but let's talk about it.
All right, cool. So Camille obviously likes Sheen because she turns her base damage into true damage on her second Q proc. Sterix gives you a higher base AD value, which means Sheen does more damage, which means that the true damage proc does more damage. Really cool. I like Sterix a lot as an item. I had a theory ages ago that Sterix on Maokai was going to be good, but it never came to fruition.
There's also the synergy with Sterix and Death Dance you see a lot. We don't have an Alawi in this game, but that's a big combo. Because she's just a lifesteal tank, so Death Dance obviously delays the damage. Any upfront becomes a dot effect on you, so you kind of tickle away at the damage you've taken over the course of time, and then Sterix allows you to live the upfront burst. So really nice combo of items coming up there, but not entirely relevant to this game right here.
Will we see an Alawi?
Potentially. It's been picked overseas, been picked in solo queue. I mean, Swiper played it in the previous seasons. And
he's a big Alawi player.
Yeah, he is. I don't think many people wanted him to pick it.
You included?
Yeah, me included. Sammy Spooks broadly, he was not a big fan. It's hard to gank for an Alawi, so...
But it is hard to gank an Alawi.
Yeah, that's
2v1 machine once she hits level 9.
Yep.
Goes Klepto now on Max's E, because you can get Klepto procs off the
soul.
Yeah, the vessel, is it called? What is it?
I think vessel's right. Yeah. I think that's correct. And that's pretty huge. You're not even hitting a champion. You potentially get a skill up. That's broken. Come on.
Let's
get rid of it. Keep it away.
Yeah. W, of course, procs it just like GP, Q auto, and of course the old Ezreal Q just procs it in one.
Yep. As we do take a step back from this game, Baron spawning in 40 seconds, going to be the next big fight coming out of both these teams. The inhib is down for the Chiefs, so you see Fantix trying to push out the mid lane.
And Gangplank right now is massive. We can take a look at the gold. For someone that's only 16 CS up and a kill, I mean, look at that. 2,000 gold.
Is that Klepto?
Yeah, that's Klepto plus the passive of Q.
So absolutely.
As you can see, he is just a bang plank at the moment. That is phenomenal.
Not to mention he is much more relevant in a team fight, I think. Camille, out of all the split pushes, does have one of the best flanks because she can guarantee to isolate a target. If she goes onto triple or onto King, he will find himself in that 1v1. Destiny going in with a taunt.
Yeah, taunt over the wall. Destiny, however, is by himself. King gets chunked out, but Destiny is in a world of hurt right now. Flank coming out of Fantix needs to be a little bit careful.
Nice.
The wall, however, cuts off the two tanks. Cupcake, Prayless. Prayless actually goes over the wall, but it looks like the rest of the Direwolves want to go forward. You see right now, Triple runs in, gets chunked out, has to flash away. A very bizarre team fight going down. And I actually don't know who won, so don't ask me.
It's pretty even, but Ezreal, because he's on the side of the Direwolves, Chiefs have pretty low health bars on a few members. They were chunked a bit, and he does have so much poke, so they are going back to the Baron. They do this so quickly with Azir.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll see how low it gets. 3,000 health. No Bip to go for the seal. Instead, they go for the turn. That's going to be Destiny looking for the ultimate. Will fall down. Big stun coming out of Swiper. Babip goes in, gets everyone, and this is where the Tristana starts taking over. Swiper separates the fight, and it is a 3v3 right now. Another kill picked up for Fantix. Has to dash away, and it is only the carries of the Chiefs left available versus 3 members of the Wolfpack. Chippy tries to flash in, does get eaten, and all of a sudden, it will be King picking up another kill. Chippy's still very low. King and Chippy's looking for Ryoma right now. However, will be able to get away. Actually, just Q's the wrong way, and King flashes on his head and kills him.
He didn't have the vision. He didn't know which way it was coming from. Ryoma took his best guess, but picks wrong. King sees that, immediately punishes. Flash ease forward, hits him with a Q.
19 seconds, 2 carries. Big creep wave of super minions going into the mid lane.
They don't opt in. They're going bot. They just want to get the tempo advantage, push in that bot lane, potentially set up for another Baron. You do see a blue ping on the Baron right now.
Actually, the staggered res time is out of Ryoma because he died so much later than everyone else.
What's he doing? Pushing out the top wave. So we do see this team fight again. And you did mention Fantix on the backside of this does get Shen ultied immediately. And you said we was popping off here. He was not getting touched on the side, but the exhaust comes out in a second from Cupcake, so he can't clean up. And King on the back end of this fight is just queuing away, dashing forward. When an Ezreal can dash forward, you know you're in a rough territory here. In a second, Chippy flashes forward just out of range and does not have vision of the bush, so eventually does get taken down, or Cupcake loses his life for him there as Chiefs aren't here in time for this Baron, potentially.
Potentially going to be another Babip steal. Actually just pulls out. Does not go over the wall. No flash available this time. But yeah, Cupcake again. That exhaust. Well spotted and definitely saved that team fight. And now Direwolves with control of this mid lane. Inhibitor open will just look to push down the mid lane.
This is a 6k gold lead. They do have the Baron right now. Dragon is up, but are they going to look for it? They're pushing in the mid lane. They're going down bot side.
I mean, this is a team that has Shyvana, so you can make a case for it. However, I just feel at this stage of the game, a Zir turret plus Gangplank split push, you can afford to be greedy instead. They just play it slow.
They're just going to do it. They have the mid push anyway, and they do put up the Azir turret, as you see, but they're just waiting for Chippies to push in that bot side lane. So they do have the time. While Chippies pushes the wave, Shyvana and Ezreal can just clean that one up. A bit of a bonus there. And they don't want to push through the choke into the base like we just saw. And they are opting in for the bot side. Take that 3 standing gold. Is the last non-base turret available on the map.
And this is a different Direwolves. Last season, when we saw Direwolves ahead, they would honestly grab teams and just shake them around until the game was over. This time around, they look pretty clean. They look pretty slow. The tempo has been pretty methodical.
And the interesting note is that because they don't have Schönfire this game?
I don't know.
Is he the key to that? Is he that playstyle? Prayless coming in, obviously, I don't think will be shot calling as a substitute for the team here, but
I would argue that this is a higher percentage play style of just taking it slow and steady. Not very many errors being opened up.
I mean, I 100% agree with that, but it's not what we've seen last season, so...
Oh, Destiny goes for the flash taunt, lands it. That's going to be King just getting eaten, and Destiny, you're in a world of hurt, will fall down, and King just marches forward. Swiper will fall down as well. Gangplank ultimate used, and this is just going to be the Direwolves marching 2 waves of Baron up creeps into the base, and Chiefs, without the support, without the top laner, cannot really engage. Ryoma takes a big cast, and that will just be Fantix disappearing. I don't know where he went. Babif, you're a full tank. You don't do all that much. You will fall down. That is a double kill for the AD carry, and the Direwolves, they're going to look to win this game. Ryoma just dashes back to his base, probably the only way he could get there, but it took him a while. It took him all 3 games, but the defending champions of the OPL will march towards the Chiefs member Nexus. They will silence the haters, and they will pick up their first victory of OPL 2018.
Without Schönfire too. So many people were skeptical without their main star, their main player in the jungle. Can they pull it off? I honestly tipped against them. I tipped Chiefs 2-1 in this matchup, but after the Ferns get one game there from King as he gestures to the camera, Direwolves, they do pick up the 2-1 victory. Chiefs, at the end of that game, that was their only window. They pulled the trigger. They did get onto King, but the Tahm Kench just coming up clutch.
And that is a statement game from the reigning OPL champions. Lots of people throwing around the fact that, you know, when you lose an MVP, when you lose Destiny, how much does that hurt your team? Chiefs, they revamped their roster. Order, we'll see next. Lots of people talking about them. But in my opinion, I've always said this, until you beat the champs, you can't claim to be the best team in the OPL. And the Direwolves, once again, just throw a hush over the OPL. They say, we are still here to be top dogs.
Absolutely. You can see the disappointment on the Chiefs, especially Swiper's face there, as he doesn't have a bit of a grin as soon as I say that. But we'll be feeling the hurt from that loss definitely for the weeks to come.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a young Chiefs side. This isn't a side that is literally littered with veterans as it was last season. Losses hurt young players a little bit more, in my opinion. It is hard to bounce back, and we'll see whether they're able to do that. But for the Direwolves, without Schön, without a lot of their vocal leadership there, has just absolutely done a great job. Hugs for Fantix, of course, ex-Direwolfian there, and that first win, I mean, it just is all that much sweeter.
And you can see Destiny's face there, obviously coming across from the Direwolves. That was a rough handshake there for the man in the bottom lane.
I mean, Destiny obviously didn't rejoin the Wolfpack. I don't know what happened behind the scenes there, but Cupcake came across.
Yeah.
And especially because, I mean, for Destiny, it must hurt because Cupcake had some very good performances.
Yeah, and that's what I want to touch on there. Cupcake, game 1, did not look good. Picked the Taric, went the tier build, obviously fairly greedy there. Poor performance, I would say, overall. But the next 2 games really stepped it up. Coming into the start of last season, he was such a hyped player. I, as one of the players in that season, definitely thought he was one of the best. And then a lot of people did as well. And traveling to the end of the season, I feel like his form kind of trailed off to some degree. But now, back at the start of this season again, you can see he's definitely absolutely a good player. Absolutely popping off. On form right there. Tahm Kench and the Braum, very stellar play.
And I think this is one of those games that you have to take a step back if you're just an OPL fan and say, with 2 substitutes, the 2 best teams in the OPL have just put on a bloody good performance. I mean, everyone else in the OPL now is kind of catching their breath because that did not look like 2 teams playing with crucial members missing.
Yeah, and I think Prayless is the big one to speak about. Fantix, veteran player, MVP of last season. You expect him to be able to come in. Different roles, so a bit of hiccups here and there, but obviously he's very accustomed to the play style, playing on stage, very used to all that. Prayless stepping up out of nowhere, really. 2 great games. Second game, especially on the Shyvana, was just a huge performance out of him. Solo almost getting them the victory there, I think.
Yeah, it certainly was. And you could see the rest of the team got around him at the end. The rookie player coming up with his first game win. However, it's not Prayless that we're going to speak to. It is actually Laura standing alongside with Cupcake, the Direwolves' new support.
Thank you, guys. I'm standing here with Cupcake, the new support for the Direwolves. Firstly, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about this game? Were you expecting to come out with a win, having a sub on your team?
Well, both teams had a sub, so we weren't underestimating them. We weren't overly confident. We just focused on what we could control, and yeah, I'm happy with how we did.
Well, late last year, the High Performance Centre at the SCG was announced. Have you personally had much time to train there, and how has it been helping the team out?
Oh, it's fantastic having those kind of places to train at. The facilities are amazing. It really gets everyone focused in, and yeah, just we're able to get more out of every training session, which is really good.
And there's been a lot of roster changes this year, and the Direwolves is no exception to that. How has it been for you personally, joining a new team?
I think everyone in the Direwolves has made a very easy transition for me, and they've made sure that I'm comfortable, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to the future. I'm happy with how everything's going.
Looking forward to see how you guys all go together as a full squad. Thank you so much for talking to me today, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Great interview there from Cupcake. Like what he said, I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is the difference about Premier Orgs in all sports. They are able to integrate new pieces into their squad, but not miss a beat. And you can see that that is exactly what's happened here with Direwolves and Cupcake.
Absolutely. The biggest thing takeaway from that interview for me is getting more out of each individual practice, because in League of Legends culture as a whole, people talk about grinding so much, just playing 30 bajillion games a day sort of thing. So you come out of scrims as a pro player, have a break in the middle, come out of scrim second set, and then you just play solo queue all night. But getting more out of those smaller, short times of practice means so much. You have free time, you have a better balanced life there coming out. So huge for the Direwolves.
Yeah, definitely something they've been focusing on. You know, having an area where you can live and an area where you can train, as opposed to them both being together, has been one of the major wins. Do want to take a second to talk about what this means for the Chiefs. Obviously, playing with a sub may be easier to shake off, because you say with Rays we win those games. However, for me, it's that they attacked the top side of the map, which arguably was the unchanged portion of the Chiefs.
Definitely. Swiper, not a big performance on the Camille there, was getting bullied around a little bit. They did try and get onto Chippies early, but could not find it there. And I guess a couple of botch plays throughout that game, in the last one specifically going on. They had the Shen Camille combo, but just couldn't make it work in the side lane onto the gangplank, and Direwolves just had the answer there, so pretty rough for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it certainly was. However, it will be the Direwolves picking up a 2-1 victory. Let's throw it over to Laura and Carbon to break that third game down a little bit more.
Thanks, Jake. I'm back here with Carbon to discuss that game a little bit further. And right for the get-go, we thought Bibip was going to have a huge impact on Prayless's early game, invading that jungle and stealing his blue. But Prayless seemed to bring it back a bit.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit curious that they let the Shyvana go through. I thought Babip must have a plan to deal with it. I thought the early invade was really nice. Took away the blue, slowed down the tempo, forced him out again at Wolves. I mean, Shyvana did get the big wolf, but Babip pushed him out of the jungle. Shyvana then later trying to try and get some tempo back. She died to Camille and Talia as well, and I thought we were going to have another Ryoma Talia game on our hands. And so I thought the early game was played quite well by Babip, and I thought, okay, you know, they've had to think about the Shyvana and how to shut it down, and it looked really good at the start, but yeah, out of nowhere, I mean, I think Prayless on the Shiv, he just farmed so fast, and Babip couldn't find any opportunities for ganks. He struggled to gank mid. He did go top and very nearly got 2v1'd at one stage. So I think the game plan was good, but just, I mean, a great comeback from Prayless, and Babip unable to capitalise on the small lead he got himself.
There was a bit of an iffy moment in that game on the Direwolves' behalf where they went for that Baron play, but ultimately it backfired on them. How do you think they could have potentially played that a bit better?
Oh, well, I thought there were a couple curious things here. Now, we don't see it in the replay here. Fantastic smite flash there. Babip played that literally as cleanly as possible. So fantastic play there from him. But yeah, Azir didn't come. Now that's a pretty common tactic, and that's something you guys can do at home as well. If your team is sneaking Baron and you're one of the players or you're one of the champs who will do majority damage to the Baron, if you just stand mid or you just stand somewhere that's not Baron, the enemy team is more likely to think like, well, if Azir's not doing the Baron, they're probably not doing it at all. Of course they were. that being said, if Azir was there a bit earlier, yes, okay, because Ejim touched on that, Bryce touched on that in the broadcast. Yes, they may have had those 3 or 4 seconds where they would have finished the Baron earlier, but I think that the Chiefs would have caught on quicker and it would have still been a tough Baron for Direwolves to take. So I don't really think it was much on the Azir there. I sort of disagree with Bryce. Probably happened a lot during the year. But I did think that King, throwing that Ezreal out at the creep wave from the Baron pit was a bit suspect. I think that made it very, very obvious. Just trying to do too many things at once. You know, he was trying to keep the top wave pushing, sneak the Baron. I mean, just choose one and it'll probably be a lot more successful.
Apart from that, King and Cupcake did a lot in this game and kind of ran away with it in that bot lane. King,
Absolutely.
I think, had
sure.
a ridiculous amount of kills on his end. But how do you think they took off with the game?
Well, I think there are a few factors. I mean, Fantix obviously is a sub. I thought he played very well considering that he doesn't play AD. But I think, and this wasn't really mentioned on the broadcast at all, but King was way in front of the clock in terms of CS per minute. I mean, I think game 1 he had like 300 CS at like 27 minutes. Like like every game was the same. Like he had way too much farm every game. So he was just doing massive DPS. I think Cupcake definitely warmed up into this series. I think in that last game with the that Tam roam mid where they got the mid tower and they killed Ryoma, that was huge because Talia was starting to pick up some tempo. She got that kill on Shyvana, and then she had also roamed top, and she looked like, I mean, we've seen Ryoma's Talia so many times before. Like it doesn't take much. Once he gets 1 or 2 kills, he starts just destroying everyone. So I think that was a fantastic play at a Cupcake. Really cut the tempo in the middle lane from the Chiefs and open up the game for the Direwolves.
Well, thanks once again, Carbon. We're going to head to a short break, but when we get back, we'll have our next series between Order and Tectonic. Don't go anywhere.
Doss mucks up the E off the wall. Still will be able to take him down, but Prayless actually doesn't get him. They're not going to be able to get him. He flashes forward. However, the kill does go back across. More Chiefs members arrive just in time. That will be a 2-for-1. They've got the Shyvana. They've got Ezreal, who gives everyone attack speed. They actually tell them that they're there by shooting a wave, and Babip has a chance to steal here. Will go in, and he gets it and gets out. That is an absolutely godlike play out of Babip. And that's going to be Destiny looking for the ultimate. Will fall down. Big stun coming out of Swiper. Babip goes in, gets everyone, and this is where the Tristana starts taking over. Swiper separates the fight, and it is a 3v3 right now. Another kill picked up for Fantix. Has to dash away, and it is only the carries of the Chiefs left available. And Ryoma takes a big cast, and that will just be Fantix disappearing. I don't know where he went. Babip, you're a full tank. You don't do all that much. You will fall down. That is a double kill for the AD carry. It took them all 3 games, but the defending champions of the OPL will march towards the Chiefs member Nexus. They will silence the haters, and they will pick up their first victory of OPL 2018.